Thanks for joining us here at Cult Fiction. We've got a couple things to talk about tonight that I think are going to be interesting. Of course, the Daredevil rap. We want to talk about that. We also want to talk about the new rule that's been introduced at the Oscars, which seems kind of weird. But first, before we talk about either one of those things, Bueller is going to take us way off track. Hit it.
Oh, you guys had to have seen the 100 Men versus one silverback gorilla, right?
Heard about it,
No,
yeah.
no.
So this is all over the internet. It's on whatever social you look at, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok, whatever. 100 men, average men versus one silverback gorilla.
What,
Who
like tug
comes
of
out?
war? What's going on?
Just
Uh,
fight to the death.
yeah, to the death. To the death. Who wins?
Probably
To
the
the death.
gorilla. Probably the gorilla.
At first I was gonna say
If all the
the
dudes are without weapons. Yeah.
right, the dudes don't have weapons.
No weapons.
I watched a guy who did like a breakdown of it, and I thought he was right. He's like, even if you swarm it, you're only going to be like 6 or 7 dudes at a time that can get your
Right.
hands on it, and that's enough. Where the gorilla can hurt you badly. Because 6 or 7 is not enough at one
Right.
time.
Right.
And then, of course, I started thinking about like if I were to beat a gorilla, like the first thing that comes to my mind, I have a weapon in my hand, right? But then if you can't have a weapon, you're 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 really screwed. And so I do think it's possible that if you got a bunch of dudes to work in unison together, that you might be able to beat it, but like 77 of those guys are going to be either dead or maimed by the end.
Yeah, I don't know how you could strike a killing blow, like how a human man could strike a killing blow on a
You gotta
silverback.
like rear naked choke it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you know
that's gonna work.
Yeah.
It would, yeah, that's the thing is it would have to look something like when they were attacking Thanos in Infinity War and
Yeah.
everybody had a limb. And that's why I'm saying you'd have to do it in unison, because if you don't,
Right.
if you only got like one guy per arm, the thing's gonna throw you, or it's gonna break your arm by just grabbing you, right? So you need
Right.
multiple people per arm, multiple people per leg, and then multiple people for the torso. And that's a lot of coordination.
Yeah,
And
right.
when people are getting bit and getting their arms broken and stuff, it's like Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they got punched in the face. Everybody's got a plan until a monkey literally ate the other guy's face. Now, what do?
So
now
where did this come from? How did this become?
Somebody put out a tweet online and was like, yeah, 100 dudes could beat a silverback gorilla. And it got 180 million likes or retweets or something, which is
right.
astronomical. And so now it's very divisive. You have so many dudes out there who are so full of self.
Your audio cut out.
Yeah, we can do this. And so many other dudes who are like lacking of self, who are like, no, we're all dead in 5 minutes.
Right.
And I think after really weighing, so if you think we're all starting at the same base, right? So we're all naked. No shoes.
We're naked now? Oh,
naked? Oh, now you're just gonna grab your
yeah, because now I'm gonna
rip
fuck
it
it
off.
I mean, no.
So the silverback's naked. We all have to be naked. So we're all in the same playing field. Everybody's naked. Everybody's naked, right? And so we have to.
He's thinking about it.
What came to
thinking about it so hard
was
that his internet is.
Your internet tripped
choppy.
out. So
Yeah.
you were like in the thinker pose for a second.
So the murder hornets versus the Japanese honeybees, right? These murder hornets just annihilate every honeybee in their path. But
of course,
when a murder hornet comes into their home, they overwhelm it and they swarm on it and they overheat it until it cooks to death. And I think that's the only way to win this is by 100 dudes, 100 of us, because it didn't say 100 people, it said 100 men. So all the women can go by the wayside. Gone. No children. Gone.
okay.
It's just 100 men. It's 100 of us, right? We're not very diverse, but we'll say 100 of us. we swarm that gorilla and eventually dogpile on it and it suffocates. I think that's the only fucking way we win. And even in that case, I think only 12 of us go home.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
how many other people at the bottom of the dog pile also suffocate?
Well, yeah, there's so many are dead.
I'm just gonna say
many.
the gorilla wins. The gorilla wins. Like, that's not.
And I figure if the gorilla could kill more than half the people, it still is a winner, really.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So
Yeah.
if we win at what cost?
That's what I'm
If
saying.
you
I
suffer
think that
great
that
cost.
at minimum, like 77 people are going to be dead or maimed.
See, I was at
And then
I was
the
at 12 people
23,
going home. Yeah.
the 23 that lived and had very little, they just really didn't get into the fight yet.
Yeah.
You know, it was just those 77, like the first 12 just die, the next 12, 11 die, and then the next 12 like starts to get a little bit tired, and then sooner or later they're able to hold it down, and then I don't know. I don't like what is the killer blow? Their skin is a lot thicker than ours. Their
Wait,
skull's a lot thicker.
their bones are 3 times the density.
Right. So
Right,
it's like honestly, and I hate to say this because I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be gross. Like, do you shove a fucking hand up their ass and like
Yeah.
start ripping
Yes.
stuff out? Like,
Yes.
honestly.
Yes.
Like, I know
you
it's
have to.
weird.
Yes.
It sounds
No, it's
weird,
not
but like
weird.
there would be
it's getting
vulnerable,
way,
right?
It's getting way weird now.
I'm just
No.
saying. I'm just
No.
thinking because, like you said, their bones are massively more dense. Their skin is insanely thicker. With the exception, I mean, can you even do a rear naked choke on it? Like, I'm not even sure you could do
I
that.
don't know. But you bring up a good point because hyenas will always go for the butthole and balls. Always. That's their thing. They go for the butthole and balls. It's the most tender point of the flesh. So if you have to go against a gorilla, if 50 of
You're
us
gonna have to hyena it up, man.
We
Do we
lost.
just
This is the going after gorilla balls is just Alex is not down.
the gorilla butt just killed fucking Alex? Alex was like, "No,
Well,
I'm out. I'm out. You
so-
guys are talking about gorilla buttholes. I'm out."
so that same argument, and this is so far off base, and I'm sorry, but I think
No, it is. It is.
I thought it would be good. I thought it would be fun.
Yeah, because it's kind of a
intellectual
pop culture. Like this is what people for some reason are talking about. This is the blue dress or gold dress of the day.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But what it led me to was realizing how goddamn useless I would be in like a Fallout world or a Walking Dead world or something like that. Because, like, okay, for me, Caitlin, my girl, she can crochet, she can knit, she can needlepoint, she can do all kinds of shit like that. She can make beanies and blankets and all kinds of stuff. She has a very deep cooking
Repertoire.
repertoire. And not only that, she's a teacher. She can teach the kids, and she can tack a fucking horse. And like looking at what I can do,
Right. She's got skills.
I'm a body, bro. I'm a body.
Sure, but
I can dig a
here's the other
fucking
thing.
trench or something.
Here's the other thing, though. If you said 100 dudes against a gorilla, that is significantly different than 100 dudes with Lucille's. You know what I'm saying? If we're talking
I agree.
you know what I'm saying? That's like
what I'm saying
monumentally different now.
Right.
What I'm saying is
in an apocalypse, you're not going to be toolless. You are a body, but it's not like you're just going to be bumper duper.
Right.
Like
the great advantage that human beings have against nature is our ability to craft tools and implements. And if you take that away, then we're at the bottom of the pack. It's
of course, I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is watching the arguments that I see on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram is like, yeah, we're gonna beat up this gorilla. 10 of us could take up this gorilla. No, you couldn't. Shut up. You're dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, myself included. I remember 20 years ago when I was like, I could beat a bear if you gave me an aluminum bat. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. Like
Maybe a black
maybe a
bear.
black
Maybe a
bear,
black bear. Yeah.
maybe, and still, it like you would pray that it ran off, right? A brown bear, I'm dead. I'm dead. And obviously, a polar bear is
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If it's
beyond
white,
dead.
it's not me.
But
If
like
it's white,
a brown bear is just, I'm so dead. Like I saw two of them fight once on like some YouTube video, and I
yeah.
was like, how stupid was young 20 something Eric who thought he could fight a brown bear? What a moron. You
Yeah.
sir are dumb.
It's pretty
You thought you were
dumb.
going to do anything to that thing? Did you see what they were doing to each other? Because that's the other thing is like, you're like, okay, yeah, but I'm gonna be fast. No, you're not faster than it either. Like, that's the other thing. Not only is it like 8 times as strong as you,
Right.
right? But it's also twice as fast as you.
It's not
Like,
fair. It's not a
yeah,
fair
it's
fight.
just not fair.
No, and like you're gonna roll your ankle.
Of
Right.
course, right. But it's like, you know how you know what it is you have these like, you have fighter game mentalities, right? When it comes to that kind of shit, you're just like, well, I'm gonna pick Chung Li because you're using Zangief, and she's gonna be faster, even though he's stronger and blah blah. In real life, like Zangief is stronger and faster than Chung Li, right? And that's how the real world works. And that bear, you're like, oh, I'm going to be faster because I'm smart. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, the bear is incredibly faster than you.
Right.
Yeah,
Incredibly
and
faster
like
than you.
I'm the smallest dude in this entire group, and
Mm,
Bear is gonna crush me.
right.
Like I can probably run faster than all of us. He's still gonna get me.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
if we all started running together, I'm gonna be the longest survivor, but I'm still gonna die.
Right.
So
Like
we're
Usain, like they would catch Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
right. So we're on the bear now, but going back to the gorilla, are you guys saying that 100 guys win?
I'm saying that probably not.
Right.
And if they did, it would be really like, it'd be like what Bueller said, like, at what cost?
So
Yeah.
If
Bueller, are you saying the 100 guys
So
win?
initially I was like, no, there's no fucking way. But
Mhm.
Chat GPT said once you get over the 70 to 80 person mark, then yeah. And so I started again, I started thinking of the honeybee versus the hornet, right? And
Mhm.
so what they do is they overwhelm it and they overheat it and they kill it that way. So yeah, maybe you dogpile it. Maybe you win that way. Maybe, right? And if
Okay.
you do, only 11 or 12 of you are going home. That's it.
go
Yeah,
back,
I'm
Alex, what you missed
So do you
was
win?
that we had a psychic come on and give us next week's lottery numbers,
yeah, you missed out.
and
Oh,
now you
gosh.
won't
You won't get them.
Oh,
you won't
geez.
get
If
them.
only I had been here in
If
that
only
If
you
incident
had been
only.
here
down.
to
So
get those lottery
if
numbers.
you suffer a 90% casualty rate, did you win?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that in that situation you have 100 dudes, 20 of them are going to just sit and flex out and not be able to engage.
Once the
Uh,
gorilla fucking bites somebody's head off,
right.
rips
You're
their
gonna
balls off,
have
and
as soon
feeds
as
them
as
to
soon
'em,
as limbs start flying, you're gonna have another 20 to 30 that just like they're like,
gone,
I'm
gone.
done, I'm done. And then your whole plan falls apart, and then that's the gorilla is picking his teeth. So that's
No,
that's how it goes.
I agree with that. I agree with that 98%.
Right.
So I want
But
to, since we're off topic a little bit, I want to say real quick that I this week watched Best of the Best. I had not
The
watched it.
original.
The first
Yes,
one.
I hadn't
All
watched
right.
it in a long time, and I had been really like wanting to um just see it again, On a whole, it doesn't, I mean, of course it doesn't hold up,
It's not going to
right?
hold up. It's pretty cheesy,
Right.
right?
It's not Lethal Weapon, it's not Predator, it's not Die Hard, Um Eric Roberts overacting is pretty hilarious in some spots. Also, I found it weird that, like, I'm not gonna say all the time, but pretty much all the time, that the Korean guys were talking in Korean. They didn't even use subtitles to tell you what they were saying,
I don't
right?
think they didn't need to though, because I mean the facial expressions.
Right. So that's
gave
what
it
I
all
was going to
away.
say. There was a point where Daehan, in between his match with Tom, in between rounds against Tommy, he sits down and his coach goes just, and I'm going to do an impression that I think is pretty close. And I'm like, wait a second, those aren't even words. I was like, you're not even putting the subtitle on the thing. Like, am I watching a racism right now? Like, that's what I was like. I'm like, this is the 80s, right?
Hmm.
I'm like, are they thinking like we don't even have to put what they're saying because like everybody knows, right?
We all get
And
it.
who's gonna know, right? Who's watching this that speaks Korean or something? I was really like, am I watching a racism? Like,
Might
it
have
was
been. It might have, I
If
haven't
you're
seen that
watching
movie
our
in a
movies
long
in the
time.
80s, yes.
yeah.
You'll definitely watch some racisms.
I was just
Yeah.
like, there's no way that was words. It was an emote, if anything. I was like, those were not words, bro, that you just said there. So anyway, I thought that was crazy. I recommend watching it. I mean, for a laugh, I don't know, but I was
I
like,
don't know,
holy.
man. I don't know if I would recommend it. But speaking of watching movies, good segue to get us back on track, right? Let's talk about the new rule now with the Oscars.
Uh,
If people haven't heard of this yet, you now have to actually watch the movies before you can vote on whether or not they deserve the Best Picture title.
so I have to.
Like,
So
I'm
just wait. Is it
amazed
just
it needed
Best
to be a
Picture?
rule.
Right, exactly. That was exactly my thinking. Is like this hasn't been a rule to
No,
date, right?
no.
So what the hell is going on? What were you going to say, Bueller?
So you said Best Picture. Is it only for Best Picture?
My understanding is it's only for Best Picture. It's the 10 movies that are the potential nominees for Best Picture. You have to have watched them before you can vote on whether or not one of
Uh,
them wins.
so I'm kind of like I understand it only because when it comes to the rating of movies, they only send out the movies to a certain select of people who they
Right. So there's 5,000 Academy members. They all get a copy of all 10 of the movies to watch. But so far, apparently, until
that's
now,
that's
they
not what I was
haven't.
saying. What I was saying was for the MPAA rating of a movie, if it's rated R, NC-17, G, whatever, there's a certain amount of people who watch those movies and give them a rating, right? That's not based on everybody who's going to watch the movie. It's just that select few, right?
My understanding for ratings is that there are certain rules as far as language is concerned, and nudity is concerned, where you have to if
There,
you
there,
have.
there definitely are rules. However, those movies are sent out to people who are a part of the guild who watch those movies and they rate those movies and they submit their ratings, right?
Mhm.
So the movies get rated based on the guidelines and also based on the people who watch those movies. It's a combination of the two. So if you have movies that are submitted for Academy Awards, right? Um, should you have watched them? Yes, I agree with that 100%. Um, but it's also a smaller percentage of people that have watched them that are giving it a vote, that are giving it a rating, so to speak, with the MPAA or whatever it is. So, do you have to have seen it in the past? Obviously not. Should you have? Yes. I understand why the ruling's in place. I also understand why the ruling wasn't in place before, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't, because for my part, if the whole purpose is to figure out which movie is the best movie,
Mhm.
then that should have been incorporated into the culture of the Academy from the beginning. Is
So
that
if I can pull back a little bit, have you ever seen a movie in your entire life where you thought it should have been rated R or should have been rated G or PG-13 or something and it wasn't matching that rating?
Yeah, but I don't know what
Surely
that.
there's something.
I'm not sure what that has to do with
So
choosing.
because you weren't involved in the grading process of rating that movie, your opinion has nothing to do with it, right? So you have
But the
now you have
people who
the
are rating the
Academy
movie watch the movie.
I'm sorry?
But the people who are rating the movie watch the movie.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And this is just me being argumentative.
No,
Okay.
but what
Yeah.
Jubal's basically saying is it's almost like people who said, yeah, this movie's PG-13. Did you watch the movie? No. That's similar to be like, oh, this movie's the best picture. This is why I'm voting for best picture. Did you watch the movie? No.
Right. And so without question, there were people who were in that process of rating movies who never watched those movies and submitted
I don't believe that. No, I don't think so.
I think you'd have to. Yeah.
No, because I think that those are normally done at screenings where like people come in.
They're absolutely not. They're sent
They're not?
home copies of the viewings. They are sent
Oh.
home viewings of those movies
Or MPAA ratings.
for MPAA ratings. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know anything about how ratings are done, or as much as.
I mean, I know
as
they
you
have
do.
certain criteria that they
Right.
mark off or whatever, like certain amount of curse words gets you
Right.
rated
Like if
R.
you say you have more than one fuck, it's an R rated now.
Right.
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 So I mean that's to me a lot more I do think it's pretty stupid to send in a rating of a movie that you haven't seen. I would think that that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
And hopefully they can weed those people out, you know.
if there was a movie and I looked at the script and I saw 2 F-bombs, I would give it an R rating even if I hadn't watched it, because that's the rule, right?
Right.
Well,
What I'm talking about,
criteria is that they watch the movie and they submit their rating based on the viewing, because you have to take into context. It's not just the 2 F-bombs. You have to take into context what else is happening in the movie, the sexual situations and everything else. And then they're
Mhm.
like, you know what? This should be R. They submit an R. And so they take the vote, and then that's how they give it a rating, or that's how they did give it a rating at some point. I'm playing devil's advocate here. So if you have the Academy Award people that are voting and they haven't seen the movie, yet they've read a synopsis, or they've read the wiki, or they've seen trailers, or they heard
Friend
people
is in it.
whatever, then they're going to submit their vote based
Right.
on that if they haven't watched it. I agree. You should have to watch it. I agree with that. What I'm saying is this is how it hadn't happened in the past.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I just think it's a strange reality that the culture of the Oscars is such that you're happy to vote for a best picture without either having watched that picture or watching all of the pictures in question. It seems like that should be just that should just go with the job, kind of.
But
Right?
I mean, are you surprised that it's not that are you surprised that it's more political than that? It's more self-congratulatory. It's more
It's a popularity contest.
nepotistic, you know, with like,
Right.
oh,
No,
my friend's in this movie.
I'm not
I'm
surprised.
surprised. I'm surprised that it needs to be a rule that they're watched.
Exactly.
Like I'm not surprised that there's political votes in voting, but I'm surprised that now they're like, no, you gotta watch these movies. And I don't know
Right.
how exactly they measure that, how they can tell who's
They're-
watched
they
movies and who
can't. They can't.
Well,
My
I
understanding
would
is-
say I would say my initial reaction would be that they can, and then also that Bueller's right that they can't. Because what I think was happening was back in
Very
the
clear.
yeah. What I mean by that is back in the day they would send you the reels, right? They would send you the DVD, and then when you watch it, it says, you know, for your consideration, blah blah blah, all over and stuff like that.
Sure.
What I think they may start doing now is now you don't need a physical copy, it's going to be a digital copy, and then they can see if you've watched it.
Right.
But of course,
I think they do that now.
we know now
but-
through Doge that people can buy things to make it seem like they're at their computer. So that's what I'm saying. It's like now we're at a stage where the Academy is probably just still like steps behind, right? They're like, oh, now we know how we can make sure everybody watches it. We'll send them a file and it'll be able to tell us how many hours that they spent on the file watching it.
Right.
Then, of course, now there's some kind of product that you can buy on Amazon for $10 that makes it look like you're at your computer when you're not.
But
My
these are
understanding is the screeners that they send out now can track how much time is watched. I don't know how. That's been my understanding for a while.
But
They
you-
send
but
out
you
screeners
can't,
for the
like,
movie and it's
You
watched.
can't though. Like I have to watch training videos at work. I put them on, I press play, I go do my job. And when I get prompted,
you probably shouldn't say that on the podcast, right?
I didn't say where I worked, but when I get prompted to come back to my computer and click a button, I do that. I go back and do my job. I don't know what the fuck the video is about. I don't care. Don't care. And so if you think that the rest of the people that are doing this, like, sure, there are some that are, you know, cinemaniacs or whatever, filmophobes or whatever you want to call them, that are just like glued to their screen, watching every second of it. Yeah, they exist. But there's also people that don't do that, that are just like, play. I have to go
I'm
walk my
swimming
dog.
in pussy. I can't spend time.
Well, I was thinking walking my dog and
Oh
washing.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Or
okay,
that.
so
Or that.
let me just say this though. What you're talking about though is a group of 5,000 people in
Mhm.
Hollywood that are deeply involved. I mean, you're talking actors, actresses, producers, directors, like people who are deeply involved in the film industry.
They don't
And
care.
but if they don't care, then nobody cares.
It's self-congratulatory.
There's
It's all
an there's an element of that, sure. But to say that there's no expectation of even a minimal amount of impartiality, like even enough impartiality that at least you have experienced these other movies that you're voting against.
Mm.
If people in the Academy cannot even go that far, then what is there is no point to the Academy. Then it's
You're
just
right. So let's
it's
just
just
say
a hand job. Like the whole thing is just a hand job.
it is a hand job. It is 100% is a hand job. Let's just say all 5,000 people all watch all 10 movies in that category, and all 5,000 people within a 70% to 75, let's even say 80% range, agree this movie wins. This is the best movie, right?
Mhm.
And then fucking Alex walks on stage and goes, the winner of this year's Academy Award is My Cousin Vinny with Marissa Tomei. And everyone goes, what? It's already been announced. It doesn't fucking matter. It's all over. So even if everybody agrees on it, once it's on stage, once it's like live fed to the audience and said who won, it's all in history now.
So you're saying they just make it up anyway. It doesn't even matter what the votes are.
Marissa Tomei, My Cousin Vinny, shouldn't have won, right? Saving Private Ryan should have won, didn't win.
My
But
Cousin Vinny was a great movie.
Shakespeare in Love won. Like
Shakespeare in Love was a great movie.
over fucking Saving Private Ryan did.
I wouldn't have voted for it over Saving Private Ryan. No.
Of course not. Of course
But-
not.
So my question would be, what's going on behind the scenes that they felt they needed to do this now?
Right. And
Like,
that's
has something won in the
What's
last year or
changed?
two? Yes, has something won in the last year or two where they're like, what the fuck is this thing winning for? Or something. You know what I mean? Like, what has happened behind the scenes where they're like, no, we got to make sure people are actually watching this shit, because there's no reason this thing should have even got nominated. You know, hell, win. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to
So,
find out what
that's
was
where-
the catalyst for this.
My curiosity lies more in the nominations, more so than the voting and winning. So how do you end up getting nominated if you're a film that nobody's ever heard of before?
right. No, that's a fair question. I've wondered that myself.
Well, because this last Academy Awards, there were so many films nominated for so many different things, and so many people were like, "What? Where did this even
Like
come
that Emily Perez or whatever it was that got like the same number of nominations as Fellowship of the Rings, or Return of the King, or one of them. It's got like 11 or 12, 13 nominations, and most people who watched it said it was complete dog shit.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
I
how
think
did it get that many nominations?
like there was no plot, there was no story, there was
It's
no point to the movie. It was just there to
is
be
it
a
the Academy that does the nominations?
Yeah.
I would
So they vote
imagine. I'm
they vote for the
assuming, but I don't know.
nominations, right? So they vote for the nominations and then they also vote for who's going to win.
I would guess so.
I'd have to look it up again, but the only way to vote on an Academy Award is to be a member of the Academy. And the only way to be a member of the Academy, it's almost like this weird circle.
Mm.
So you got to break your way into it somehow. Like you can be a member of the Screen Actors Guild, great, but you still can't vote on the Academy Awards. To vote on the Academy Awards, you have to be a member of the Academy.
Yeah, the easiest
Well,
way
here-
is to get nominated.
I can tell you how the
That's
nominations
right. Yeah,
are
you
picked.
Yeah,
get
let's hear it.
nominated.
Alex has got something. Let's hear it.
This is how the nominations are picked. Right? Each branch of the Academy, you have actors, directors, cinematographers, etc. They vote to nominate candidates within their discipline. Actors nominate the actors, directors nominate the directors, writers nominate the writers, etc. So that's how you get the nomination.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Okay. That's
then-
interesting.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to do it, I think,
Fair.
actually.
Fair.
And then the new method, as far as keeping track of who watches what, they're gonna have screening rooms. And you have to go into the screening room and you have to watch the movie. So there, seems like it's like actually really taking an effort to crack down and be like, no, we need to watch this movie,
So again, that's
good.
I was under the false impression that that's what they were doing for ratings, that they were they would have a focus group with the MPAA rating board, and they would go, here's Ghostbusters, watch Ghostbusters, write down your blah blah blah, and then they would have a focus group, and then it would get rated, whatever the focus group had said it should be rated.
That's interesting. Okay.
I thought with the MPAA, there was like an actual guideline to follow as far as like how many
Right.
curse words you could have, how much
Right.
like,
Yeah, there
blood
is,
you could
yeah.
show, etc.
That's some of it. That's some of it. So I don't know how much of the rating system is actually personal preference. I think a lot of it is codified. But as far as this change in the Oscars, I think it's a good change. I think it's something that it just blows me away that it wasn't part of the system before.
Right.
So maybe, maybe
I mean, what'll make a difference? Like if the
Yeah,
idea
maybe.
is to crack down on like people making choices based on preferences other than the quality of the movie is now being forced to watch the movie gonna make them vote any differently? You know, if
Right.
somebody was like, I'm gonna vote for this movie either because of my political reasons or I know somebody involved and made the
Right.
movie, and now they watch another movie and it's like, oh, screw my political beliefs or screw my buddy that made that movie. I'm gonna vote for this now because it's that good. I don't know how much change it's really gonna make. I still think it's a necessary change, but I don't know
Yeah.
what the impact will be.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anything changes from here forward.
I think it's a popularity contest. I think it always has been. I think when Eric and I used to hang out and watch the Grammys at home, we could predict who's going to win based on
Sure.
what was cool at the moment or cool for the last 3.5, 4 months.
Right.
It wasn't
Right.
like record of the year. It was like record of the last 4 months. And
Seems
I
like
it's
it kind of
the same.
seems like I haven't followed it for many years now, but it always seemed like it was like 1 year it was a popularity contest, and the next year they went with art house, then the next year it was like 1 year
Right.
Gladiator wins, and then next year some little movie wins that nobody went to
The
see.
Insider.
The Shakespeare in Love winning what was Favorite Private Ryan, it's like
Yeah.
most people think that that's not a better movie, but in my experience, that's what they believe. But
Right. I remember there was talk at the time that it was some kind of, protest against Spielberg for some reason or another. But whatever. I think
They
this
were
is
like,
a good
we
change
got tired of him winning all the time.
all the time, right? But he's a great filmmaker.
Right.
I think it's a good change. I will be interested to see if the future picks are any different because of this.
I want to
That's
see
my 2
Yui
cents.
Bowl win something next year.
he won't.
He'll win a Razzie.
Whatever.
He might win a Razzie.
Exactly. That's
Did
right.
you see that old like video where he like boxed all the people who criticized his movies because he was like an ex-pro boxer? So he
Yeah.
like challenged all his critics to a boxing match. and beat
Yeah,
the crap
so
out
you
of 'em.
guys watch what you're gonna say next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be
I'll
careful.
prove that you're wrong about rating my movies by punching you in the face, because those correlate well.
Oh, if only the Oscars had more punching in the face, it'd be more worth watching.
I'll tell you right
I
now,
mean, it couldn't get worse ratings. You know?
if we
No
had
doubt.
the Academy Awards and the two top picks for best movie fought each other, if you had Saving Private Ryan fight Shakespeare in Love on stage live, I'd watch the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Or like Steven Spielberg, like mud wrestling David Fincher or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edward Burns punching Gwyneth Paltrow. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Even Private
Or
Ryan,
maybe just
man,
like a
Vin
quick
Diesel in it,
deathmatch or
right?
something.
Well, they're gonna win because of family.
Right. You know, we were going to talk about Daredevil today, but let's do it next time. We could call. I mean, we talked about Silverback Gorillas. We talked about the Oscars. I think this is a good episode. Let's call it here. Join us next time, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care.